What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Apple, which is one of the biggest companies in the world now, and also one of the, I guess, more important tech companies as well. Honestly, I feel like I don't even really need to introduce Apple. I mean, as a brand, even if you don't own an Apple product, you pretty much know what Apple is, right? I mean, they've pretty much revolutionized the modern world with a lot of the different devices that they've made, and a significant portion of you actually will be watching this video on an iPhone, as a matter of fact. So with that being said, I feel like without the, I guess, introduction or anything here, it's probably just most important to jump directly into the topic. So Apple has been, I guess, a big subject of debate over the last few years, as have many other tech companies, including Google, Microsoft, Facebook. Now, Apple has been basically accused of being a monopoly, okay? This has been a conversation that's been going on for a long time, obviously, as their, I guess, strength in the market continues to increase. They're crushing all these earnings. Their products are, they're such a big part of the market share at this point for phones, computers, all kinds of different things, that when you combine their entire reach all together, Apple has gotten to the point that people are debating whether or not they've become a monopoly. And my personal take on it is they've pretty much already reached the point of monopolization, actually more or less in conjunction with these other tech companies. The truth is, a lot of these big tech companies, they more or less work together by not working together, right? It's pretty apparent that, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple, all of these companies like Amazon and all of them, they have basically agreed to not encroach on each other's territory too hard. They keep a specific level of competition where they need to. Obviously, Google is a direct competitor of Apple with like the Android platform and stuff. But instead of going at each other's necks and trying to put each other out of business with like direct, strict competition, they more or less just have all coexisted for a long time now. And it's gotten to the point that their products are so prevalent in society that it's almost impossible not to use one of them. And another big debate that's been going around with Apple in specific when it comes to this whole monopolization topic and whatnot here is their usage of things like the App Store to kind of gatekeep their platform. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today, because there was actually a bill introduced in North Dakota that was supposed to kind of help knock Apple down a notch, supposed to kind of back down a little bit of that stranglehold that they have on the consumer market. And it would have settled a lot of debates. You guys, if you've been following the topic of Apple for a little while now, you probably remember that they're in a little bit of a spat with Epic Games. Basically, Epic Games was one of the companies that didn't want to pay Apple a 30% cut of the money going in through their games like Fortnite and stuff on phones, which is a policy that Apple makes all developers and publishers agree to before they put their apps on the App Store. So, let's say I put out an Optimus video game tomorrow, right, on mobile, okay? If I wanted to go on the App Store and have in-game purchases, microtransactions, things like that, I have to agree to give Apple a 30% cut basically out of all of that revenue. Now, you might be thinking, well, Optimus, of course, Apple is going to want a cut of that money. It's on their platform after all. What's the big deal? Well, that isn't necessarily the big deal in and of itself, right? Of course, the platform's going to want to make money. That makes sense. I think we can all agree. The real problem comes in when the only verifiable way to download apps on the iPhone platform, basically, or I should say the Apple platform, is to download them through the App Store, okay? And the App Store is ran by you-know-who, Apple. So by getting that kind of control to not only have their platform, but also control the strict flow, I guess, of apps on their platform, Apple has gotten to a point where they can legitimately manipulate the free market, okay? I mean, applications that don't, I guess, fall in line with what Apple wants can be removed. They can be, essentially at that point, it may be entirely destroyed on the market, but they can definitely take a massive hit from that. You need to be on iPhone if you're making apps. I mean, literally think of all of the most profitable apps you can think of. They're on multiple platforms. You can get them on Androids, you can get them on iPhones. There may be a few select ones that aren't the case, but that is realistically the trend. Now, this bill, which is SB 2333, which was introduced in North Dakota, failed in the state Senate on Tuesday, meaning that obviously it didn't pass. The changes that would have been made would not take effect. So the bill directly sought to ensure that these companies, right, especially tech companies whose revenue exceeded $10 million per year, they would no longer be able to force platforms and publishers and these developers to kind of like go exclusive with their platform. So this is something that can be done by Google Play and the App Store now, which basically forces developers to use only one store to publish their apps. So at this rate, like, you know, you want to put an app out, right? And of course, you want to put it on both the Play Store and the App Store because then you can reach more consumers. Well, these companies can basically say at this point, like, hey, if you don't make your app exclusive to our platform, you can go fuck yourself, okay? Obviously, that's not right. The company that, I guess, owns the platform that they would be putting their apps on should not have the ability to force these companies to make such an executive decision, but they can. And once again, that manipulates the free market because now they have to make a choice. Do we go here or do we go here? Which is a decision they should not have to make in the first place. Now, the real meat and potatoes of this bill was actually a section that would have removed the right of these tech companies to mandate the use of their payment systems, which would have prevented Apple or Google from taking a 30% cut from most app sales. Now, when you look at the App Store in particular, because we are talking about Apple here, they made $64 billion last year through the App Store, through transactions that went through their platform alone. I'm not even counting iPhone sales, iPad sales, Mac sales, none of that. Just through the App Store alone, Apple made $64 billion. If you took the valuation simply of the App Store on Apple's phones and you made it a standalone company, it would easily be a Fortune 500 company. It would actually be one of the most valuable companies on the planet, okay? So that's literally just one of Apple's income sources. The company obviously would have had to follow these guidelines. It obviously would have been something that they had to, I guess, follow through with. And what it would have done is it would have prevented Apple from containing companies to their platform and manipulating the market as much as they are currently. Let's not get anything wrong here. Apple has been manipulating the market. They've been doing things like this ever since they've realized that they could, and it is unfair to publishers and developers. And in reality, it's also unfair to the consumers. Now, I like iPhone. I don't have a problem with it. I own an iPhone. I can't stand Macs. I don't particularly care for iPads. I do use an iPhone here, so I actually do have, you know, the App Store. A massive concern that I've always had with the iPhone is the fact that you can only really download verified apps and whatnot through one location. That's absurd. In reality, what should be happening here, at least in my opinion, Apple should be forced to not mandate the App Store. There should be multiple outlets on an iPhone that you can get apps through that would allow more competition, that would allow smaller companies a chance to compete in the market, that would give consumers better options with their devices. You can't feasibly say that just by having one verified source of applications on a device, you're giving your consumers the best experience, especially when they could have 10. Now, Apple has always defended their actions here. They've defended themselves with a very simple argument, okay? Now, Apple has always been kind of known as a platform, you know, they say on the Mac, oh, you can't really get viruses on it because obviously, first and foremost, most viruses are manufactured for Windows devices, but with all the security features and whatnot that I guess iOS and their Apple platforms have, it's supposed to prevent, you know, bad malware apps, things like that. That's been the reasoning, quote unquote. So Apple has essentially been making the argument, oh, but by having the App Store, we can kind of verify apps and we can keep the bad apples out and we can protect our consumers. Let's not get anything wrong here. That is not the primary concern. Do you really think Apple's primary concern is keeping their consumers safe? We're talking about a company that has been caught purposely fucking phones up in order to encourage you to buy new products. Apple has no financial reason to be invested in the safety of a consumer's phone, because in all reality, let's say your grandma downloads 90 malware apps on her phone, it bricks the thing. She can't really use it correctly anymore, right? Guess what? Now she can go out and buy a brand new iPhone, and Apple makes even more money because they sold her 2 phones instead of having her safe on 1. There is no financial incentive for this company to take the best interest of the consumer in mind, and that's why they don't, because they get richer by being a monopoly, and that's exactly what they are right now. Now, this isn't the end, though. This isn't the end of this fight. I will say that, though. The North Dakota bill, it did fail in the state Senate. However, a number of U.S. states have now introduced bills and legislation to try and curb, I guess, the power of the app stores and these big tech platforms. So there are other chances, of course, to actually try and contain this problem and make it better for consumers. Now, these bills mostly are actually the result of lobbying from a group called the Coalition for App Fairness, which is a lobbying group, a political group that is supported by dozens of companies such as Epic Games, which has had a personal spat with Apple. the Match Group, and Spotify, another company that has also had problems with Apple. And as a matter of fact, I want to use Spotify as another example here very quickly. Spotify has accused Apple of basically trying to hinder the performance of their platform with unnecessary moves and restrictions and things like that, in order basically to, in turn, promote Apple Music, which is, once again, another way that Apple has kind of created this monopoly. Apple predetermines basically what you do with an iPhone. If you have a little bit of technological prowess, you can jailbreak an iPhone and basically do whatever you want. I've done that. If you want to, you can kind of, I guess, wiggle around I didn't mean to do that, but if you have a little bit of technological knowledge, but in reality, the walls are still there. You know what I'm saying? There's eventually going to be a place where your ability to customize your iPhone experience without jailbreaking is limited. And it's because Apple wants to make more money, okay? So these are, in turn, extremely unnecessary. It's ridiculous how far they have control over the platform. Apple, of course, is not the only company doing this, but they are the most notable. They are the biggest problem when it comes down to this. And as of right now, Apple's monopoly has been allowed to continue because, obviously, the state Senate did not pass this bill, and the federal government has basically done nothing. They've had those congressional hearings with big tech CEOs, where 75-year-old men who've used the internet 4 times since 1983, they get to ask questions, and they literally understand absolutely nothing about how technology, the internet, any of this works. It's basically worthless. And of course, consumers, they love Apple. You know what I'm saying? That there's actual fanatics out there that will buy every Apple product that comes out regardless, simply because it's an Apple product. Not because they enjoy the experience, not because they think it's a superior product, but because it has a logo on it. That's kind of ridiculous in my opinion, and in all reality, it's dangerous to the rest of consumers because now it's enabling Apple to do exactly what they're doing. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, owning an iPhone but still saying Apple needs to fix this shit, and signing out. You've seen cool stuff in your life before, but you've never seen cool shit like this. Introducing Horser. Are we sure what it is? Not really, but is it interesting? Absolutely. Optimus, what do all these luxury cars and videos of horses and nature have to do with Horser? They're specially crafted in that order to make you want to buy shit. To make you think to yourself, oh, this Horser brand represents luxury and wealth and nature, and I need that. So fulfill the advertisement's role and go buy it. Horser. Keep it on you, or some shit like that.